On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the General Secretary of the Nigerian Labour Congress. It brings us up to speed on the reason why it took this while for the Congress to make a position as regards the cash crunch Nigerian workers and Nigerians generally are faced with. He also spoke about the engagement that the Congress had with the management of the Central Bank of Nigeria and what the Congress decision is following that meeting. We'll be speaking with Comrade Emmanuel Ugboaja, the General Secretary of NLC. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Recently, the Congress came up with a press release saying that there will be a nationwide strike from Wednesday. Can you bring us up to speed on why it's necessary for Nigerian workers to actually stop going to work at this moment?
Clearly, thank you. We have monitored and followed closely the federal government's cash renewal or exchange policy. And we have spoken at various fora, press conference, at our national delegate conference on the 7th of February, and at other occasions to decry the challenge the new policy had brought to bear on workers. And like everything, the way communication from us is normally treated, they ignored it and nobody responded to it. We had our Central Working Committee meeting and gave a 7 days ultimatum for the government and the central bank, its main agency, to bring this challenge under control. We never got any response. Our letters were ignored. Nobody made any effort. Then held a meeting to assess the situation at the end of our ultimatum, our 7 days ultimatum, 7 working days ultimatum. And at the end of the discussions, it dawned on us that we needed to take our destiny in our own hands. Workers have had to trek from their homes to work on empty stomach all through the working day because they had no money to buy anything. Families were rationing their meals and cooking without the basic ingredients just to keep alive. And we felt we couldn't continue a life like this. And we then had to come out clearly to say if they don't want us going to work, then it will be better to stay home. And if they want Nigerians to then die at home, we should then die with our loved ones, wondering what has become of our societies. So clearly, we then had to ensure that we still gave a window for the authorities to do what is right. So we agreed that by Wednesday,
29th March,
we'll have to picket every central bank office in Nigeria, from their headquarters in Abuja to all their zonal and state offices across the Federation.
I am aware of so many losses that Nigerian workers and small business owners have been experiencing in the last few days. As the worker body, would you tell us if there is any amount of money, if there's any figure that you can put to the public as the amount of loss that has been made by Nigerian workers, especially those that fall into the artisans group?
Quantifying it will be the same thing as trying to quantify, because we're in a situation that is worse than the Ukraine war. And you know how much the international community is pumping into the Ukraine war. We're in a situation where our own money, we're not asking for handouts. Our own money is trapped inside the vaults of the CBN and the commercial banks. Our own money, we're not under a war situation, but authorities conspired, connived, and called in our monies and then held us hostage. That People didn't have monies to buy medication. How will you quantify death of workers who cannot afford to buy medication? How will you quantify death of children, of workers who are unable to buy medication for their children? How will you quantify challenges of those on special diet that are unable to maintain that regime and are now having to battle with worsening health situation? How will you quantify the mental realization that all your savings, all your efforts to keep afloat under the different challenges society and the state has thrown at you has come to a head, that they have trapped you into putting in your money and you can't access the money? So it's not something you can easily quantify, because our monies are trapped in there. They tell you about 3 trillion cash in circulation. What of the non-cash assets that have been laid to waste? You have startup businesses that are collapsing. You have the informal sector that has been the cushioning sector that has given people confusion as to why Nigeria is still afloat in the midst of all the torture we are going through. Is the resilience of the informal sector. And this is one policy that has challenged that resilience to a very high degree. So clearly, we are in a very precarious situation, and it's between the devil and the deep blue sea.
So are you saying now that with this conversation and understanding that NLC has with the Central Bank of Nigeria, are you saying now that the picketing exercise or the strike that has been threatened would be withdrawn?
Our strike was to call the authorities to do what is right. If they say they are doing what is right, we will need to see it. INEC said they will do what is right, and we didn't see it happen. So you're not going to tell me whether I have money, I don't have money. I will know whether I have money. So I will know whether there is money in the bank when I go and ask them, I want some of my money, and it's given to me. If I go there and ask for some of my money and I can't get it, there's no amount of announcement or pronouncement from the CBN that will make me accept that there has been a change. So the change will be when I go to the bank and I can get money. The change will be when my mother goes to the bank and she can access cash. The change will be when you go to the bank and you can then tell me I was able to buy oranges today because I got money from my account. So if that is not happening, we are not going to take bulletins. We are not going to accept press conferences as evidence of money in circulation. No, money in circulation is going to circulate amongst human beings, and the human beings will be the litmus test, will be the determinant of whether we go ahead with our action or not. We are the ones feeling it, so nobody needs to tell us what we feel. We will know if the money is in circulation. It wasn't in circulation, we knew. And if it gets back into circulation, we will know.
Okay, very quickly, what would be your advice or suggestion to employers of labor, be it public service or private sector? Because we've heard of stories of workers that actually lost their lives during this situation we find ourselves in. For example, there was a radio presenter that was walking and had to walk a long distance, and the person passed out due to this unfortunate incident. So as General Secretary of Congress, would there be any message that you'd like to pass to government, private owners, private business owners that probably will cushion the effects of this precarious situation we find ourselves in?
The fact is, these are emergency times. These are very difficult times. So you can't be expecting a worker to put in a regular shift. It would be inhuman to expect a worker that doesn't have money to come to work to be there at 8 a.m. if it's to resume at 8 a.m. It will be inhuman to work him to death when he has not eaten. He has no money to buy food, and you'll expect the same level of concentration and strain from him. No, we expect people to be human and to find creative ways of managing the situation. And that's why for us, the most ideal way, having done all, the most ideal is to stay away from work, to stay away from strain and stress in an empty stomach, and to see how we can, within our communities, within our homes, manage the situation while the authorities get the monies back to circulation.
So can you tell us why did it take this long for the Nigerian Labour Congress to come up with this action? Because it's been a while that Nigerian workers and even the average citizen were actually faced with this cash crunch. What do you think? Why would you say it took the Congress this much time to make that decision?
We are normal, and we love a stable society. And most of the time we bend backwards. We stretch our endurance to make for a stable society. We had not wanted to combine trade union action with electioneering. We didn't want to combine trade union action with high wire politicking that was going on. But clearly, and our people went through this period thoroughly stressed, thoroughly challenged. But now nobody can talk about the challenge being politically motivated or not politically motivated. Everybody is challenged, and we've gotten through the political process. We need to face the economic process, and the economic process is what we are facing right now.
Okay, beyond picketing exercise, final word on employers of labor as regards ensuring that there is decent work. This is 2023. We've survived COVID. We've survived a lot of challenges as workers, but there's been lots of inflation that the country has been faced with. Only 1 or 2 states has improved on the national minimum wage. What will be your word of what will be your suggestion towards private and public CEOs towards ensuring that workers actually have decent work and earn a living wage?
The truth is clearly the trend and the trust of corporate world is moving towards a shared prosperity. The era of individuals growing fat while the rest of the workforce is growing thin is no more in vogue. It's shared prosperity, it's ability of the workforce to patronize the products that they are producing. It wouldn't make sense for you to be a car manufacturer in Nigeria and you manufacture 500,000 cars and only 5,000 people can afford those cars. So that wouldn't make any meaning. So clearly, we're in the era of shared prosperity. We're in the era of humanity looking out for one another. The COVID pandemic has taught us the lesson that poverty anywhere is poverty everywhere. Health challenge in one place can cause a ripple effect of health challenge across board. So you need to make provisions for public health. You need to make provisions for public good. You need to make provisions for public prosperity. So clearly, any rational being in the current situation should be thinking in that direction. So for us, we are looking forward to a shared prosperity time, not a period of accumulation, so that only a few will go and assess the benefits of development of other countries while leaving us in dark ages. No, that is not the way to go.
Thank you very much for your time. It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you for having me.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.